An alcoholic killer monkey goes on a rampage. Why the new spike in COVID-19 cases shouldn't scare you. And you want to attract women? Tune in. We got a great tip for you, along with a whole bunch of other stories coming up next on the BS Podcast.
You're listening to the BS Podcast, where we cover all of the bullshit in the news and more. Now, welcome your hosts, Dave and Zach.
Hello and welcome to the BS Podcast, where we talk the absurd, the ridiculous, and yes, the bullshit. Hi, I'm Dave, and joining me is my fellow connoisseur in bullshit, Mr. Zach. Zach, how are you, buddy?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, and what we do here, we talk about a lot of the stuff going on in the world, but in a lighthearted way, in a way to make sort of laugh at the stupidity going on in the world around us. And over the last few days, there's been no shortage of stupid crap going on in the world, hasn't there, Zach?
A lot of stupid shit. And, you know, I think everyone can sit around and look at it and say, like, wow, there's a lot of stupid shit in the world.
And thankfully, your BS connoisseurs, we've compiled this stuff so we can. It's both educational and humorous. Yeah. In fact, our first topic today will maybe our most educational, some valuable information. I'm talking about the coronavirus spike and why the mainstream media may be misleading you and maybe doing a little bit of fear mongering. So we're going to talk about that. We also got this stuff going on here with trying to change product labels because things might be a little bit insensitive. There's a little turn of events there. There's a story in Oakland going on. If you've heard about this, possible hate crimes or not. You got that going on, and this idea about wearing a mask. Are you ready to go to a movie theater, right, Zach? That's something that's one that's been on my mind because I do want to go, but we're going to talk about that, what the circumstances might be around there, and we got a couple of story updates and some real BS out of Philadelphia, which is one of the strangest things I've seen, which I just don't understand. So I can't wait to get to that. Before we do all of that, Zach, let's talk about some of the hyper local bullshit, some of the stuff that might be going on in your sphere, some stuff you've been dealing with. What's going on with you?
Hyper-local bullshit. All right. So I took a trip this weekend and went and visited my folks in Fenwick Island, Delaware, which is like, okay, 2.5 hours away from Baltimore. So I went and visited them. And on Saturday, me and my dad, we didn't want to go to the beach because the beaches were packed. Some of the bars around there were just packed like sardines. So we're like, let's go out on the boat. So we took out his boat and we decided to try to do a little crabbing. And we caught nothing, like dick. We didn't caught anything. So that's the first piece of bullshit. So then we were like, well, we want crabs. Let's just stop and pick some up. So we went
out by them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we went back and, we found a place selling crabs near his house. That was pretty good. That's, pretty good. We've got crabs from there before. So we went and got them. $90 a dozen. So, we got 2 dozen crabs. So spent $180, plus more for tip or whatever.
That doesn't hold on. That doesn't sound cheap.
They're not. Crabs are not cheap. So it was $90 a dozen for larges.
What kind of crabs are these? Are these huge?
No, they're Maryland blue crabs.
Oh, wow.
6 inches, maybe something. 5 inches wide is the legal limit. So
can you go to a restaurant and get like a bucket for like $10 or something?
No. Oh, no. Yeah, Maryland crabs are very expensive.
Oh, okay.
It also depends on what size. Small, medium, large, or jumbo. These were larges. So, so we got 2 dozen crabs, and we get, when you get them, it's usually just in a gigantic paper bag. You know what I mean? Just full of crabs and whatever. So it's not like you can live? Sit there. No, you can get them live. We've done it before. And we usually see them ourselves. But at that point, we were just ready to eat crabs. So we were like, let's just get them already steamed. So we got back and, we dumped them on the table. Right. And this place is probably like 30 minutes away. We get back and we look at it and we go, that doesn't look like 2 dozen crabs. It was, they gave us 1 dozen crabs. So we're like, fuck, man, this is great. So, then we had to call and they were like, well, we don't believe you. We gave you 2 dozen crabs. I'm like, look, you guys were packed. How do you know if you did or didn't give us 2 dozen crabs? Right. So that was like the highlight of the bullshit from my weekend.
So did you get a refund?
No.
Bastards. So
the best they could do was they said, well, give us your name, and whenever you come back next, we'll give you a free dozen crabs. So I doubt that'll happen, but that's where we left off.
So you tried to you tried to catch some. What do you? How do you catch crab on a boat? You have like
there's a few ways. So there's trout lining. which you basically have a really long rope when you tie like bait every 3 or 4 feet or whatever. You usually use chicken necks. And you have this bar that goes across the side of your boat, and you lay that line down in the bottom of the water, and then you fish it up and you drive down, and the line like goes on the rope, and the crabs like get stuck on the bait, and as they come up to the water, you like scoop them up.
Oh, nice.
That's not how we were crabbing on Saturday. We were using just baskets, which is basically this like basket that kind of folds up, and you put the bait in the basket and then put it down, and the crabs walk on top of the basket. And then as you pull up the basket, it like collapses in so they can't get out. That's what we were doing. Yeah. So that's
no
how you
dice,
catch crabs.
Huh?
No, I mean, we caught a good amount, but none of them were within limit, like legal limit. They were all like, 4 inches or something. So throw them back.
I would think there might be, you'd have good luck, because if a lot of people haven't been out, haven't been boating, haven't been crabbing, that there might be, maybe they've been underfished, but that seems to not be the case.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my dad's not a professional waterman, I guess. So, we we probably weren't in a very good spot or whatever, we know like technically how to catch crabs, but we don't, the thing is, when I remember when I was younger, like I would go out with my dad and we would catch like a bushel of crabs. It was like, it always felt like it was easy. And now it's like every time I've gone out with him, like in later years, it's always no dice.
Is that due to overfishing, crabbing?
It could be. It could be. There was like a thing a few months ago where the DNR, maybe it was like a year ago or so, where the DNR said the population was getting a boom back, but I don't know.
Did you get a chance to? So the beach, you didn't even go to the beach because it was too packed.
Nah, I didn't go to the beach. We just hung out in the boat. There's like, so in Ocean City and Fennel Island, there's like a ton of little tiny like sandbars in the bay. We found like one that no one was on, and we just pulled the boat up and like we got out and put some beach chairs out in the cooler, and just sat on this little tiny sandbar by ourselves.
So that's fun. You should have taken some video. I was thinking about that too, because I went to the beach earlier over the weekend rather, and I don't know, I didn't take any video. Maybe I just should have, because it was pretty busy.
Yeah.
Think that'd be of interest maybe to our viewers?
To our viewers, and if not, then you could just sell it to some news station.
True. I didn't even think of that. In terms of me, I don't have any complaints. It's been a pretty good week. So no hyper local BS. I think the key is if you just stay home and do nothing. I did go to the beach and that was fun. But see, you ventured out into the world and bad things happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got back and I was like, I'm not going anywhere next weekend. Fucking sit in.
No, so you drove out all that way, got on the boat, spent all that money, didn't get what you paid for, and he just basically limped back home at the end of the weekend, huh?
That's exactly it. It was nice seeing my dad for Father's Day, though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, then Sunday morning we were supposed to get up and go surf fishing like real early for Father's Day, and it was like late Saturday night. We were drinking, and my dad goes, "Shit, we don't have any bait." So that never happened. So we were like, "All right, let's just
He needs to step up his game."
Yeah, I know, right? It's because he's retired now, so he doesn't give a shit about anything. You know what I mean? It's like it used to be his escape when he was younger. Now he's retired. He's just easy living, right?
Yeah. It's like, if I get around to it.
Yeah, exactly.
No pressure. All right, so let's get moving on our story, Zach. Talking about this coronavirus spike, certainly been in the news. We're seeing it. There's a story here out of CNN entitled, "Coronavirus cases are spiking across the U.S., and experts say Florida has the makings of the next epicenter." And we're seeing these cases rising. It is true, absolutely is true. And even we are seeing rising cases in Florida. We're seeing it in Texas. I believe that the Texas governor, yesterday or the day before, said something like the number of cases is unacceptable. Arizona has been one. California has been a stubborn one as well. So it's basically the virus has moved out of New York and New York City. It continues to sort of spread in different places in the country, and of course, with over the last month or so of us reopening the country, has led to a rise in cases. But so what do you make of this? I mean, what was your initial reaction to seeing this reported rise in cases? It's been all over the news certainly over the last week.
I think my first reaction was no shit. That was pretty much it. You know what I mean? Because We talked about this before when remember the Lake of the Ozarks? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone expected the cases to go back up.
Is going to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is no world where, or we could stay locked down forever, and then, or we can reopen. And when you do, after 3-4 months of a lockdown or some odd time, there are going to be a rise in cases. However, I think the BS here, Zach, and I think I've got a great chart to illustrate this. I think at this point, I would call this hysteria bullshit, and I would call it fear mongering, at least up to now, because there's something that's been missing in this reporting that we're gonna throw up a chart here just to make this really clear, because it's not about the cases per se. It's primarily about. I would say the first thing is it's about deaths, right? So here, let me share this chart here. This is all right. So we got this thing up here. So we see this, obviously, this rising. This is a 7-day moving average of cases and deaths. So you can see obviously the spike in cases, which deaths followed, and then as cases basically fell down, we got a spike. Another spike, that second wave, what people have been calling it, when we reopened. However, look at this purple line, deaths. Keep trending down and down and down and down. And as far as I'm concerned, Zach, as long as that purple line keeps going down, I got no problem with any of this. I think that's a great indicator to me.
It absolutely is. We're always going to have, maybe this virus is always going to be around. It'll be just like the flu. People get the flu every year. It's really about the deaths. That is the big issue. I don't know if this rise in cases, maybe it's because it comes from so many young people going on spring break and beach and things like that. And, we know that it's the virus is worse for old people and youngsters and things like that. But, maybe that's why the death count is going so low, why the cases are spiking.
Yeah. I think you're right on hitting the nail on the head there. By the way, just the source of this comes from Eric Topol from Twitter, who is a physician and scientist, author and editor. I was just using he cites his data sources really just so no one thinks this is like some kind of a fake chart. We'll leave the source here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the thing is age. We've seen data of showing I think I showed you and I were looking at a chart before we started about cases in Florida over 65%. Of all cases is going down and down and down. And that is great news because those are the people who are most vulnerable to dying. So in a way, younger people getting it now, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with children, but, people like me and you and people younger than us, people in their 20s, I'm not calling it good, but in a way, kind of, because the chances of dying at that age are very small.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just going to have to maybe, as we said, we're just going to kind of have to work through this thing a little bit like the flu. And, the flu sucks. And this is like the flu, but worse. But, we're not all going to die, thankfully.
No. And I think, we talked earlier, and I think, we both can agree the real bullshit out there is like how many media outlets are just using that blue line, right?
Yeah.
To cause panic. That's the real bullshit. And I haven't heard anyone talking about the deaths that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, have you seen that? Is that chart that we just looked at?
The first time I saw this chart was when you showed it to me like 5 minutes before we got on this call.
Because, I was going down I was allowing myself to be manipulated a bit by the media as well, this fear mongering. I'm like, God, Jesus Christ, we got all these cases now. What are we going to do? And I'm just floating around, and I think, you lose sight of what's the real danger. Is getting sick the real danger? Because we don't think of that in any other way. Like, I don't want to get the flu or the cold or something, but I never think I'm going to die, right? Yeah. At least not at my age. So death is the issue. That's the problem. And as long as that keeps going down, I think we're going to be okay, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, of course, if we start seeing deaths spike again, then we'll have to maybe evaluate.
I mean, even if there's a vaccine, this we're not going to eradicate this completely ever. I think coronavirus is going to just be around forever. Yeah. How many people have already said online that they are not getting a vaccine when it comes out?
Tons,
right? So this virus is going to be around for a very long time, if not for forever, just because of the sheer magnitude of, the delay in vaccinations, people not getting vaccinations, right? So let's focus on the death count, which is going down as we just showed.
And I think you and I have even talked about this, about the flu vaccine isn't really even a vaccine. It's not a guarantee you're never going to get the flu.
Yeah.
And I don't get the flu vaccine. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying I won't get the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm pretty sure I will.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get that. I get my flu shot every year. I mean,
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do. Yeah, I was just better safe than sorry.
I just
I mean?
never. I don't know. I'm not worried about it, but maybe
Yeah.
it's some. I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe they'll just put the 2-in-1
Yeah.
or something, and I'll just get it.
So before I started getting the flu vaccine, I remember there was one year I got the flu and it kicked my ass so bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, like for like at least a week or two, I just felt like I couldn't do anything. And I
That's
remember like I started getting the flu vaccine, and I know a lot of people say like the first year I got the flu vaccine, I got the flu. Like, yeah, I've heard that as well. And there was one year that I got my flu vaccine, but I still felt like I got the flu. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if this is true or not, but it felt like even though I got the flu, I got like my body got rid of it a lot quicker.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You know what I mean?
Lessens.
It was only like maybe 2 days or something that I was knocked out, and then like my body was able to recognize it quicker or something.
So it just felt like a bad cold.
Yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So
okay, no, I have heard that it's less severe if you do catch it. So maybe you've kind of convinced me to get it. And when the COVID-19 vaccine is available, I'm pretty much definitely sure I'm going to get it. And then I might as well just get the flu one. That one, I guess I don't have to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're done with that BS. We're done with that fear mongering. With that caveat, as long as deaths continue trending down, I'm not worried. I'm really not. So stop it, mainstream media. At least that's why that's why all of you can come to the BS podcast and get the real story.
Yeah, with humor too.
Yeah. All right. There's some more BS related to COVID-19, and this story is hilarious. It's tragic, but hilarious. And just reading the headline here, this comes from Vice. Indian hospital says a suspected COVID-19 patient died after family unplugged ventilator to plug in air cooler. I mean, who among us, Zach? I mean, you're uncomfortable. You're sweating in that hospital bed. God damn it. Let's turn this thing on so we can get some cool air, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it says something about the conditions of Indian, hospitals or was this in a hospital or was this in their home? Were they on like a
it was in a hospital.
So it kind of tells you the conditions of hospitals in India, that it's so hot that the family had to plug in their own air conditioner.
Like I said, he's sick, but we're hot. And the man allegedly passed away after a family forgot to tell hospital staff to replug the ventilator. So they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew it. They were like, well, he'll be fine for like a couple minutes. Let's
take a break.
Yeah. We'll give him a half an hour, and then we'll give ourselves a half an hour. You know what I mean? And they just like their half an hour turned into like 2 days or whatever it was, and the man unfortunately died, which is unfortunate. But
it is unfortunate.
Could have been avoided, right?
So here's one, by the way, just to show how I cheated and looked this up. So now this is a quiz for you. It says it was very hot. It says it was 41 degrees Celsius.
Holy fuck.
What's your guess in Fahrenheit?
See, I don't know because it's like an exponential growth because isn't it like 0 degrees Celsius is the freezing point, right?
Yeah.
Like ours is 32.
Yeah.
Celsius is 32, right? But
Correct.
Fahrenheit 0. But it's not like you just add 32. It's like goes up even higher. I want to say like 110.
Oh, you're close. 106.
All right.
Well, that's good job. I don't know if that rationale is correct, but great guess. We're kind of real danger after bragging about how how we're the smart ones paying attention to not COVID-19 cases, but COVID-19 deaths, showing our intelligence. And
right.
I don't know what
I like bitch. I bitch when my wife turns the thermostat up to like 72. So like,
but you need it super cold.
I usually keep it at like 60. I keep it like 68 when I go to bed.
Oh wow, that's impossible here in Florida. So our range is more like 73 or 4 to like 78.
Well, it also helps because like I'm in a townhouse, so it's like it's like you don't have 4 walls, right? So I'm also getting air conditioning from like my neighbors on both sides of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like my AC
does help moderate it.
Doesn't run that much,
Although, what's like we're talking about how interesting it is to talk about the weather. Like, but what's your daily it's not 90 every day, right? Like it is here.
No. I mean, when it gets into like August, late July, yeah, it's about that. And it's just like Florida, the humidity up here is just a bitch during the summertime. I'm sure it's worse. It's worse for you guys, but
it does cool down at night, doesn't it? Go back into the 70s.
Depends what time of year. I feel like late in summer, like the nights are super muggy, But like early summer, it gets chilly at night.
Gotcha. Humidity is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, that's the real bullshit in the world. Is
I can deal.
Humidity.
Yeah. We had a couple days last week where the dew point was a bit lower, and it really wasn't that bad. Other than
we're getting ready to go down a rabbit hole, but have you ever been to a sauna?
No, never.
No, me neither. It sounds like the most miserable experience, like of anyone's life, just sitting in a hot, humid room. It's why? Well, I don't get it. Okay.
Well, if you lived in a cold weather, we're down this rabbit hole now. If you lived in a cold weather climate, I think that's where it comes from. Like, places like, I don't know, Norway, Finland, something like that. So you like in the winter you go and it's a way to like warm up your body. I think that's where. Okay, just go ahead and quote me. That's my story.
I don't know. I'm just used to like growing up watching like mobster movies and seeing like 400-pound like mobster Italian
like
man just be like, let's go have a schwitz, and
yeah, I don't get that.
Sitting there with a towel around them, sweating, looking miserable while they talk about mob business like that. That looks awful.
Yeah, what do you? Yeah, go just towel. Rinse yourself off and put some clothes on. Sit in a comfortable room. What do you got to sit there?
It would probably feel good like jumping into like a cold pool. After like sitting in a sauna, kind of like if you're in a hot tub and then you get
you jump in.
I don't know. I guess I do like a hot tub. I do like sitting in the hot tub. Maybe I've never been to one. Maybe I've never been to a sauna. So maybe it's like the similar feeling to being in a hot tub.
Yeah, man, don't judge it until you try it.
Yeah, you're right.
Could be the greatest experience of your life, sitting around with a bunch of old guys wrapped in a towel. All right, Zach, let's stick with India here. It's a great story. Another monkey menace. This one comes from the Daily Mail. Daily Mail out of UK, rather. Alcoholic killer monkey leaves one man dead and 250 injured after going on rampage when his booze supply dried up. The monkey here was a former pet of an occultist who fed him hard liquor in India, so it got him on the sauce. But when his owner died, the booze-dependent imp went on a rampage. He targeted women and girls in particular with his vicious fangs. He's now been captured. So the poor monkey, this guy gets him addicted to alcohol, turns him into an alcoholic. Then he dies, and he's got the shakes. He's trying to find somebody. Just give me. He didn't even know what he needed. Give me that sauce.
There's like some third world country out there right now that's like seriously considering like getting monkeys addicted to alcohol and then putting little like uniforms on them. That'll be like their military force from now on, because like injured 250, killed one, like and it's just an animal. Like that's it's pretty serious.
That's crazy. And India, so India's got some problems. We need to keep an eye on, allowing families to unplug ventilators. That's could be good hospital policy. And the other, whatever the heck is going on with monkeys in India. It seems to be another crazy monkey story out of India every couple of weeks.
I know.
We had that
I like the monkey's name was Kalua. I don't know why, but that's hilarious.
Kalua. Well, we know exactly why. Now we know what the owner was feeding him.
He's addicted to Kalua. I'm just imagining him coming out with like a white Russian, like in a bathrobe, beating the shit out of some like kid or something like that.
You think like, I don't know, but just if you are being attacked by a monkey, consider that if you do have some alcohol on you, maybe just give it. Maybe that's all it really wants. It's not violent. It just wants to get rid of the shakes.
The booze.
No. So Zach, you had what would you say was the BS in this story here?
Yeah, so they were saying like something. I was reading the article and I forgot the quote off the top of my head, but it said something about how the monkey would be locked up and never see the light of day again, or something like that. Is it going to be locked up or for a very long time? Like, why don't they just euthanize it at that point? You know what I mean? And I know we're going to get some animal activists that are going to be pissed off of me saying this, but like if I'm a pet owner and I have a dog and it bites, even it doesn't have to kill somebody, even if it just bites somebody, like, damn well the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to have to euthanize my dog and put my dog down, regardless of if it's my fault the dog bit someone or not. You know what I mean? That's like, I mean, there was this growing up. My parents had a German Shepherd, and my older sister was getting into like a fight with her friend next door. right? And her friend next door threw a rock at my sister, right? And the rock hit my sister and hurt her. And my dog, our German Shepherd, jumped up and bit the other kid.
Yeah.
Right. And we had to put the dog down.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? And it was like the dog was just protecting my sister. The kid threw a fucking rock at her. You know what I mean? So if like
that's a normal reaction.
Yeah, exactly. If like if in America you have to put dogs down or pets down for doing something, like that, then why are they, why shouldn't fucking murderous drunk alcoholic Kahlua get the needle? Harambe, right? They killed Harambe for, and he didn't even kill anybody.
Yeah, God rest his soul. Poor Harambe, yeah. He ended up paying with his life. So I think I want blood. I want Kahlua to be taken out. It's not his fault. But, like you said, I mean, with the story with your dog, that's awful. But, on the other hand, we've got a hard line here. If a dog attacks a child for any reason, unfortunately, just for the protection of everybody, then that is what it is. So I think India, you need to step up here, not just put this monkey away. I mean, what are they going to do now? They're going to put him in detax or something? I don't. Yeah,
I think in detox. Just give him, I don't know, feed him, but they can't even afford to keep ASC in their hospitals. Now they gotta keep the monkey alive for the rest of its life. Just, I don't know, man. Just, I'm not saying you have to kill it like badly. I'm not telling you to put it in a cage and throw it in a river, but like, you can just, I don't know, do something.
I agree.
I don't know. I'm not in the business of killing animals, so I don't know how you would go about that, but
I don't know. You just give him a shot or something, put him to sleep. But yeah, I do think that this monkey is allowed to do this. I feel bad for the poor thing, but that is I can't stand for this, Zach. Well, speaking of animals, Zach, let's move on to our next story. And as I teased this in the beginning about if you're looking, men, if you're out there, if you're looking for a way to attract a woman, we've got a really great tip for you, and all around just good life advice here. It says it's official. The story coming out of InformedAmerican.com. Study shows women avoid men with cats. There's a new study from Colorado University shows that women are less likely to consider dating a man when he has a cat in his online profile picture. I mean, what kind of a guy would put the cat with him in his profile? I mean, talk about, I don't know what are you thinking there? It says men holding cats are viewed as less masculine. Yeah, no shit. More neurotic, agreeable, and open, and less dateable. So yeah, not a fan. It says on the rejection side, 40% of women claim they'd rule out a guy without a cat. 45% said they'd reject a guy with the cat. So they don't want the guy with the cat. They think he's weird, think he's a little crazy and feminine. What do you think of this? What do you think about guys with cats?
So if you got a cat, and you're single, you need to fucking get Whiskers out of there and figure out what to do with it. I can't think of any guy I know that lives by himself that's single and owns a cat. Actually. I know plenty of guys that are single and have dogs, but I can't think of a single guy that has his own cat that I know personally.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I love cats. I've got two of them in the house.
Sure,
I love.
If my wife was like, "Hey, do you want a cat?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, we can go get a cat. That's fine."
Yeah, cats are cool, but not. I mean, you're just gonna hold the little fur ball. I mean,
yeah. Oh, look at that sweet. Is it a boy or girl?
It is a boy.
Look at that sweet boy.
He made it on. This would be great if you'd say something right now. But would this be? You want this as my?
There's your new Tinder profile. There's your Tinder profile picture, David.
All right, buddy, you come down. Sorry.
Now, did you and your wife get that cat together, or was it hers, or?
No, we got it together.
Yeah.
So
yeah, see, that makes sense.
So sorry. So say there was some circumstance where, like, I don't know, my wife died or something, and then I would have a cat, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. What you just saw, that would not be my profile picture if I was dating. He's cute and everything. He's nice, but why would you? Any animal, right? I guess maybe if you're, with a dog, it really wouldn't be that bad, would it? No, not if you're holding a dog, but say if you're like, I don't know, somewhere with your dog, that wouldn't be so bad if it was.
I don't know. I always think it's funny when people like their profile pictures on Facebook are just pictures of their pets and not of themselves at all.
That's usually my Twitter profile is literally my dog, so I am that guy. Sorry about that, Zach. Did you lose a little respect for me?
No, it's just funny. I just, like.
I don't like I don't know. I just don't like having my face always. So, I don't know. But Twitter's one of those things where I'd rather just be more anonymous. I don't even really tweet.
Yeah,
all that
use
much.
it to research, not necessarily to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
I use it for basically bookmarking tweets. Half of my life is bookmarking tweets for using for this show and other stuff. So okay, guys. I mean, you saw. Just get rid of the cat out of the picture. You don't even have to like get rid of the cat out of your house. Just don't pose with your cat.
Yeah.
You wonder why you haven't been getting any hits lately. There's your answer. So not only that's public service, right? I mean, I think we're doing a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Zach, let's move on to some more controversy, some more BS. And something that I think most everyone would agree, except for a few people. Let's start with one. The story out of the New York Post: Eskimo pies to drop derogatory name over racial insensitivity. So now we can't get an Eskimo pie because this is offensive to Eskimos, obviously. And then the next one, let's just move into the next one here. We've got I'm sorry, they're removing Aunt Jemima, the famous maple syrup. They're getting rid of that. An interesting pushback, not from, say, a couple of guys that look like me and you who agree, but another story out of the New York Post: family of woman who portrayed Aunt Jemima opposes move to rebrand. Not even the family of that. I mean, that the Aunt Jemima face, it's like one of the most recognizable things in the world, right? So even they say this is a stupid idea. So what do you make of these two things?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me when, I remember when all the looting and everything happened with George Floyd. His family came out and said, George Floyd wouldn't have wanted all the destruction and looting and everything like that. I don't know if you can remember those.
Yeah,
quotes
absolutely.
When they came out. Kind of reminds me of when that happened. Part of me wonders if the relatives of like who the Aunt Jemima character and everything was based off that actual family. I wonder if like they get. Well, up until now, we're getting any kind of like royalties.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, see, the interesting
what I mean?
thing in this story, and one of the oppositions to it is not that it was just her picture, but so the family member, she was a cousin, and she was talking about her cousin saying she was considered a hero in her hometown, and she was proud of that. We don't want that history erased. Listen to this. She worked for the company for 23 years. It's not like she just took a picture.
Yeah.
Says she made an honest living out of it for a number of years. She toured around Texas, wasn't out of jobs, especially for black women back in that time. And you basically want to erase all of that. Says, we want you to know that our cousin Lillian was one of the Aunt Jemimas, and she made an honest living. We would ask that you reconsider just wiping all that away. Take a breath, not just get rid of everything, because good or bad, it's our history. Removing that wipes away part of me, a part of each of us. How about that? What a great quote there. Just to kind of speaks for me, at least.
Yeah, it is a good quote. And I don't know the history of that logo and the character of Aunt Jemima, but I mean, coming from a direct family member, I'd be interested to talk to someone, in the African American community to see like what they think about it.
Now, this says Quaker Oats is the company that makes the syrup, and they said the announcement last week that it would rebrand Aunt Jemima products because the character's origins are based on a racial stereotype. Now, I don't know what that. I don't want to even speculate for fear of saying the wrong thing. So I do. If this bothers people, I understand. My only thing I would say is really just to go back to the quote. We ask you to, we take a breath and not just get rid of everything. And I think just going back to the Eskimo thing, I don't need Eskimo pies, but it's just, let's just take a breath about what we're doing, rather than just trying to take everything down. I think to me that the BS, the rush to just destroy everything, we talked about this last week with statues and all that. I mean, they pulled down, General Grant, the man who won the war and freed the slaves, and the same with Lincoln. Lincoln's next too. So I'm just going off on a tangent there, but I think to me, let's just take a breath, and I think that's basically where I'm landing there.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. There was this guy that used to buy that used to have this. There's like a market down in Baltimore called Cross Street Market, and there was this guy down there that had this wing shop. All he made was chicken wings. That's all he made, and they were one flavor wings. That's it. but they were called Bruce Lee wings. They were like this Asian-y kind of like wings, but his name was Bruce. I think his name was Bruce. And I could see how like people like, he was Asian and he made these Asian style wings, but it makes you wonder like if someone would take that and like be like, hey, that's, a racist, stereotype for your name. But
I don't know. This isn't one of the, something like there's enough, in other words, here's another thing. Eskimo pies are not our biggest problem right now. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Aunt Jemima on a syrup is not our biggest problem right now. We've got we're on like a low key second civil war right now, and this stuff is maybe we can deal with this later. So let's start with this story, Zach, out of Oakland. This one comes from NBC Bay Area News, NBCBayArea.com. Intentions don't matter. Oakland mayor on ropes found hanging at Lake Merritt. This is a park in Oakland, apparently. Someone come across some ropes hanging from a tree. She called them a noose, racial terror. The mayor called it a hate crime. And so everyone's whipped up in a frenzy about what the heck's going on in Oakland. But everything wasn't quite as it seems. Let's watch the video and an explanation of what this might have been.
Put another rope here, put another swing there. The children are having a good time with it. Right? There's actually a family of father, mother, and little child, daughter. And he'll host her up in the garden, swing her around, and it, out of the dozens and hundreds and thousands of people that have walked by, no one, has thought that it looked anywhere close to a noose.
Okay, so it turned out this was just exercise equipment, as told from this Victor Sengbe of Oakland. He said, look, we just made makeshift swings because you guys had closed down some of the playgrounds and stuff like that, I think, as you go further along. He's like, so people can get up here and swing on the trees. And he says, of all the people, hundreds of or thousands of people have walked by, no one has said they're nooses. These are not nooses. And that did not deter the mayor, who also said, intent does not matter. We are still going to investigate this as a hate crime.
I think he's just protecting his ass, or
Yeah. After that, so that was one day. Then the day before, what did they find at the park? Story out of CNN. Effigy found in Oakland a day after mayor announced hate crime investigation on nooses. This is a day after hate crime investigation was opened into nooses found on trees. A fake body hanging from a noose was reported in the same area, according to police. An effigy was found hanging in a tree near Lake Merritt on Thursday by a morning resident. The resident removed the effigy from the police and then called them. And it was just like, I don't know, stuffed in sheets and tied up in the shape of a body or something like that. All of this, Zach, the BS for me, was all fake. And then some asshole took advantage of it. I don't even know from what side. It just gets ratcheted up, something that was completely innocent, that wasn't at all what people thought it was, and then turns into something like this.
Yeah, I think this is even more innocent than the whole Aunt Jemima thing, right?
Oh, this was completely innocent.
Yeah, it was exercise equipment, people think that the Aunt Jemima thing or the Uncle Ben's thing or the Eskimo Pies thing is going too far. Like if you want to be someone that can argue that, saying it's a character based off a stereotype. I get it. I get what you're saying. I get that point, but it's just exercise equipment. It has no connection to anything, right?
Now, it could have ended after the guy explained it, but it didn't. The mayor had to go out there and say, and still call it a hate crime. We're still investigating, when it was goddamn freaking obvious that it wasn't a noose. So then so this story gets national news, and somebody, I don't know who, looking to exploit the situation, stuffs a body in there.
Yeah. That's where the real hate crime comes in. Yeah. Right. That's who they should be going after, not the person that hung up the exercise ropes to begin with.
Oh yeah, because there was nothing wrong, and in fact, if this initial hysteria wouldn't have happened, then there would be no body there because there was no noose. Somebody obviously saw this story and then threw a fake body there. it's so ridiculous and such bullshit, and we wonder why, you know, the as I mentioned earlier, we were maybe on the verge of another civil war or something like that because of crap like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we cannot even sort out. We cannot sort out the most the facts don't matter. In this case, the facts didn't matter. We had a guy, an African American guy, come out and explain what it was, and the mayor still didn't care. We could have just
it makes you wonder how much worse the Civil War would have been if there was technology back then for
Twitter?
social media posts. Yeah, God, if Twitter was going on,
social media.
Good Lord.
I do wonder the extent that the extent that all of this is just, you know, a lot of this division is driven by things like social media. It really is. I've just got nothing to say. Well, no, I've said plenty of this, but I'm so angry about this situation because it was, in fact, completely avoidable. And the ratcheting up of this war of words, you know, calling something a hate crime that wasn't a hate crime now potentially is a hate crime, all because you know, we're just drawing attention to something that didn't even exist, and then it creates its own problem. It literally just festers until something bad does happen. Unbelievable.
Yeah, turns something out of nothing.
Unreal. All right, well, you know, so intentions don't matter. We got, you know, Aunt Jemima. Let's move on to some things we can really argue about, Zach, or debate about the masks, the mask wearing. We had a story out here at dailymail.com. Really two stories here about mask wearing. Trump supporter is removed from American Airlines flight after he refuses to wear a mask as airlines crack down on enforcing coronavirus safety measures. Man took a video of himself. He's got a MAGA hat. This guy was grandstanding. He was going in there. He wasn't going to wear his mask. He's taking pictures of himself. He's got a shirt on saying the selfie of him is not a racist, not a bigot, not a sexist, not a Democrat. So he's there. He's sitting there. He's proud. He's trying to draw attention to himself.
Oh yeah.
And they kicked him out.
Well, he got the attention
as he
was
wanted.
Looking for. Yeah, exactly. It's just like the woman that wouldn't go into the grocery store we talked about. She wouldn't wear a mask into the grocery store a few weeks ago.
Deal.
Remember? Yeah.
Same deal.
Same deal.
From a different, I think, you know, I don't think she was a MAGA person, but, you know, same idea. She was trying to use a disability to not have to wear a mask.
He had one tweet where that same guy was trying to defend himself because someone said, like, why didn't you just wear, you know, the mask? And he said something, you know, it's the airline's policy. So someone said it's the airline's policy to wear a mask. You should have wore a mask. And He was like, well, what do you say about bakeries that will refuse gay couples because it's their policy? I'm like, you cannot compare the two things. Like, that's completely different. One is for the safety and public health of millions and millions and millions and millions of people, right? Not like another one that's like completely taking away someone's civil rights.
This is about a business. He's talking about, you know, baking a cake for like a gay wedding or something. That's a business being forced to accommodate. It's a very different thing than you having to follow the rules of a, say, like a store or an airline or a place you go into. That's not even that. It's not even on the same.
Yeah.
The same solar system.
Yeah. He just wanted to get some attention. Get on Facebook, get online, and
get on this show.
Get on this show, and boy, he did it.
He got an article about himself on the Daily Mail, and here we are talking about this idiot. It's just fine, you know. Again, don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. But if you're going to a place that requires you to wear it, you have to wear it, or you don't go. This is really simple.
Yeah, no one's telling you have to wear a mask, but if you refuse to, then there's some things you can't do. Right? Have you ever heard? Okay, all right. Have you ever heard the no shoes, no shirts?
Yeah.
You know, no entrance, right? Yeah. Well, like, you don't go to like a restaurant that has that policy on the door and say, hey, show up there with just in your underwear and say, like, this is bullshit. I should be allowed in. It's the same concept, right?
Yeah. And then talk about baking a cake because there's nothing to do with it. Yeah. It's really stupid. You follow the rules when you go, you're going to go to a fancy restaurant in your underwear.
Yeah. Right.
And wonder why, complain that, what are they discriminating against you or violating your freedom? They've got a rule and you got to follow it, or you don't.
Or how many fancy restaurants? I mean, okay, I don't go to fancy restaurants that often, like unless it's paid for. But you know, like I've been to like a couple of restaurants that have a dress code.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to wear you wear a jacket or something, or or at least a tie.
Yeah.
So you walk in there with some flip flops, board shorts and a tank top, and well, what the hell, guys? I have just as right to be here as anybody else. So stupid. And on that topic, Zach, on masks, this will be another fight, which is AMC theaters announced that they're going to be opening up on July 15th. And initially, it said they weren't going to force people to wear a mask to go inside. I think the CEO said something like, I don't want to get into this fight, don't want to get political. Got a massive backlash. So now they reversed course. So now when AMC opens, you're going to have to wear a mask when you go inside. Which, okay, fine. Because, I don't know. Well, first off the top, how safe would you feel in a movie theater right about, in, say, 3 weeks from now?
Not very safe at all. One, no one's going to keep that mask on as soon as they sit down.
Well, you're going to buy popcorn and drink soda. You got to take the mask off.
Yeah. How many times it's also movie theater policies. You can't bring in outside food and beverage. I don't think I've ever bought food and beverage from a movie theater. I'm always going to Five Below and getting shit and then sneaking it in my wife's purse, right?
Oh, man, that's a violation of policy, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So, damn well, like, what the attendee's going to come by halfway through the movie and shine a flashlight in everyone's face and make sure they're wearing a mask. The policy also says don't talk during the movie. Do you know how many fucking movies have been ruined for me because people don't shut up or turn their cell phones off? You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I don't like going to the movies, so it's like it's just another reason for me to not go.
Now, I think it's got to be a thing where they're going to make you at least have it on when you walk in, and that's it. How can they? They obviously they need you, in fact, to buy popcorn, buy soda, and whatever else they sell the concessions. That's where they make a lot of their profit. They sell you a $10 soda that costs them 70 cents, if that. So that's how they make their money. They can't. And I really wonder the extent that was part of their decision. It's about letting people in.
Do you know how many movie theaters these days are full blown restaurants? You know what I mean? Where it's like back when I was growing up, it was just like, okay, you get soda, popcorn, candy, whatever. Now it's like, here's the AMC near my house has got chicken and waffles on the menu. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's got all kinds of shit. So
mine's not that fancy. So yeah, this is another one. So if you don't want to go to them, I guess you don't want to wear a mask. I guess you're not going to the movies. I don't know what to say because here's the thing. You're in. Well, an airplane is about the worst because that's just like an aluminum tube with recirculating air. But in a theater is kind of the same thing. Because you're going to be eating your popcorn and some guy behind you is going to sneeze or cough or something. You're going to be worried about that, right?
Yeah. So, especially if it's a comedy. Think what happens. What happens when you see a comedy? You laugh. You're openly that. A laugh is basically a cough, a funny cough. You know what I mean?
Pretty much, yeah.
So
you're spitting out the Corona. You're spitting out chunks of popcorn. You're spitting out some soda. When you hear funny. Yeah, that's a good point. I really thought of laughing. Yeah, not even just coughing and sneezing. You're right. It's a happy cough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a happy cough.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one. I really do want to go to the movies, though. I love going to the movies. It's always been one of my
all right, let me rephrase it. I love going to the movies. I hate other people that go to the movies because it just seems like no one can keep their mouth shut or turn off their cell phones or whatever. You know what I mean? I hate when it's like you're trying to watch and focus on a movie and you got someone chit-chatting about dumb shit. Guys, oh my God! Just
people that do that need to go to the same place where Clue the Monkey needs to go, which is pulled out and shot or something.
There's one movie theater I found that I love. It's a really small movie theater. It's 20 minutes from my house, but I feel like it's all recliners.
But they're mine is like that too.
Gigantic recliners. It's not just starting. Each theater probably only holds, I don't know, it probably only has 20 recliners in it. You know what I mean? So it's real small, and that's the only theater I really go to anymore.
Well, if it's not AMC, maybe you can go in there because I know you're never going to want to wear your mask because you're just like that guy on the airline.
100%. I'm exactly like that guy.
Right. The other thing is though too. Do you want to smell your breath for 2.5 hours? That's it.
Oh God, I hate. I feel like I'm always burping in my mask. When I have to go to the store, I'm like, oh God, this is the worst.
Oh, it's hilarious. All right, we've got before we get to our Philadelphia story, we have two quick updates on some stuff that we talked about, I believe, last week. One, the Ford Bronco. We talked about how Ford had scheduled the release on O.J. Simpson's birthday. Well, they've since rescheduled that. So there you go. And then the other thing, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle. As we were told by the mainstream media, these were peaceful, loving people creating, fighting for justice and all that. Really nice group of people. Apparently, it's different when it's different during the day than when it gets at night. It gets a little crazy. So 3 people have been shot, 2 people have died, and now the Seattle mayor is like, "Yeah, man, this isn't a really good idea. Maybe we need to wind this thing down." So we'll see what happens.
We'll see I don't know what her course of action would be. I don't know.
They're not just going to give it up. So
yeah,
I don't know what.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Call Trump and get Trump to send in the National Guard?
Oh, he wants to.
I know he does. That's what I'm saying. She's going to have to make that phone call and be like, yeah, I know I didn't want your help, but could you just, bring some tanks in here or something?
Yeah, I think he'd be willing to take. He doesn't care what those people think of him, so he'd be happy she could blame it on him, and then the streets get cleared. Everybody wins. Well, except for the people living in the autonomous zone. But I don't. They're not long for the world anyway. So. All right, let's hit our Philly story, Zach. Philly shuts down dumpster pools. Quote, "We're not screwing around." The city of we gotta go show a picture of this here. This is crazy. So look at these lovely people here. This is a story out of USA Today. Look at this.
I want to know why dumpster pools are even a thing.
He says they get together every year. Justin Myers, who's part of a group that organizes a block party every year in Philadelphia, says every year we try to better ourselves. Last year my pickup truck was a pool, so this year we were like the pickup truck was cool, but it wasn't that big. So what can we do that's bigger? So they power washed the trash bin and put plywood and pool noodles on the bottom and covered it with tarps, and everybody thought it was the best idea ever. So then they took a fire hydrant. I guess they opened it up, and that's what they used to fill up the pool. So they're stealing city water, they're stealing property, sit in a goddamn trash bin.
Do you drink out of the toilet too, even though you clean the bowl? Like, come on, man.
How about this comment here from the communications director for the Department of Licenses and Inspections? The city will, quote, "not issue permits for block party dumpster pools." Well, that's a good position to have for the city, don't you think?
Yeah. Come to Philadelphia. We like to swim in our dumpsters, right?
You're really not giving your city a good name at all, are you?
No. The city of dumpsterly love or something. I don't know.
Yeah, according to the city, fire hydrants cannot be used to fill pools for a slew of safety reasons, including the strong water pressure from the hydrant and the possibility that water will not be available for an actual fire. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. That's like a tale as old as time. Don't open up the fire hydrants and use it, but people do it anyway. So, I've never seen someone open up a fire hydrant to use as a pool.
I've never seen that either.
Yeah, I've only seen it in like television and movies. Never actually seen it in person.
You need like a giant wrench to open that up?
Yeah, whole big ass wrench, but I've never seen it before.
It's total bullshit that anyone would even do this and that this would even be remotely allowed. Well, apparently now they're quote not screwing around. But one point I want to make, Zach, we hear a lot about rednecks, people from Texas, Florida, or the South. This is no better. Just because you're in Philadelphia, it doesn't make you any less of a redneck. Or
yeah,
like
it's fun. If there was someone in like I don't know some southern town. And that they were doing that, it would be like, look at these rednecks.
Look at these idiot rednecks.
Yeah.
So no one's safe here on this show. We don't just go after the rednecks. Even if you could be a northern redneck in my book, and these guys definitely are.
They do exist.
They're doing a pickup truck, and then now in the dumpster. So very weird, but hilarious. And that's what we like to do here. We like to have a lighter take on the news, and also. We did do some deep dives a little bit on the coronavirus thing, and also some public safety stuff for everybody. So really doing the Lord's work here, Zach. When you say
Lord's work.
Well, we'd love to know what you think of all the items that we've covered today. We're covering the ridiculous, the absurd, and the bullshit. We'd love it if you would comment below. Give us your take on these stories that we've covered. Also, we'd love it if you would subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and Zach, if they want more similar stories to the ones we covered, of course, the cat story was a story out of informedamerican.com. They can head over there, and then where else can they find all the stuff we're doing, Zach?
Right here on our YouTube page at youtube.com big impact media. But if you want real specific stuff, I mean, you can go to www.informedamerican.com, sign up for our free newsletter. You can also sign up for our free newsletter, realhealthynews.com. Coming in July, we have a finance-oriented one. So if you're listening and that's something you're interested in, stay tuned to that. That'll be called Wall Street Wire. So yeah, great free information. Just sign up, get it right in your inbox every day.
Absolutely. And also we have a Facebook page. So go to facebook.com/informed American, the Informed American rather. So you can check us out there. We've got tons of content there. I'm also putting out daily, semi-daily videos, live videos on whatever the topic of the day is. So for Zach, I'm Dave, and I've just had enough of this BS.
You've been listening to the BS Podcast with Dave and Zach, part of the Informed American Radio Network. Please like and subscribe today in order to get fresh new weekly episodes. Please send us your BS stories to info@informedamerican.com. The world is hard enough, and now we gotta deal with this bullshit.